Thank you everyone for joining today. We're also going to be posting on YouTube after this. Thank you for joining the Gwinnett NAACP's Sunday Conversation. We have a couple of things on the agenda today. We're going to have some opening remarks by our president, Penny Poole. We're going to have a legislative update by Representative McClain of Georgia State House District 100. We'll have an education update, as well as stimulus updates, census updates, and political action updates. And we'll also have some words of inspiration from our faith community. So I will turn it over to Penny and we'll get going.
Hey, thank you for that, Simeon. Good evening, everyone. And we, the Gwinnett NAACP, is coming into your living room. And we're here. We wish we were all sitting face to face. However, under these conditions, we're coming in through Zoom. I hope you all are sheltering in place and your spaces are all safe. And we decided to come into your home at this time because of all the fluid information that is flowing in our community. It changes so greatly that we are making sure that we are posting it, getting up links, having experts, and making sure that our community is clear on what is happening. I want to thank everyone who has joined us today. And without further ado, please, Simeon, let's have our first respondent, our good friend, Mr. 100 from Gwinnett County, Dewey McClain.
Thank you, Penny, and thank you, Simeon. Thank you all of you all too for this opportunity. You know, it is a unprecedented time, and what we've got to do is stay safe, stay sheltered. You know, the stimulus money is coming. I hopefully when the first check arrive and someone get it, I think that'll be the number one thing. But we must realize one thing: we must stay safe. We must stay the social distance. It's so true. This is something that's real. That this is bigger than 9/11 because this is 9/11 in all over the world. This is bigger than Pearl Harbor because it's all over the world. It's just not one area. So, and what I think that what the governor has done by sheltering in place, maybe he's a little late in what he's doing, but he did come around. But then sometimes he's sending out mixed messages and mixed signals. So I just want us to realize that the authority he has is only till April 13th. And then at that time, we must go back in to give him a public health safety resolution. I do like what he did today about getting the community outreach, Corona outreach committee. I think that was good. He's got some good people on it. And I think that he needs to get more people on it. He needs to, we need to have more test kits. There are just a few things that we don't have that we should have. And I just don't know how to make that happen.
Well, thank you for that. There's so many answers or questions right now. There are no answers because this information, and we are answering them as we go, and as they are occurring. So no time in history have we been under these type of circumstances. So, Representative McClain, we understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. So
I do appreciate that. And I just want the other thing I want you all to realize, but we still have an obligation, and we have an obligation to be counted with the census, and we have an obligation to vote. So I want us to make sure that those are the things that we realize that we still have an obligation at this time.
Yes, and I think the biggest thing that has been so positive is that we all are cooperating with each other, because that's what this is today. And when the NAACP is out there, it's about cooperation and collaboration, positive energy going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and we are also going to, if everyone can hold their questions until the end, we do have a section allotted for Q&A, and we're going to move right on with our education update. I believe I saw Everton Blair on Are you on today, Everton?
Yeah,
Yes.
I am. Can you all hear me?
We can. And
Yeah,
we,
You want me to go ahead and get
we
started?
see you too now.
please, we can hear you and see you.
Great. So it's good to be with all of you. I'm glad that we're staying safe. I wanted to give just a few brief updates from Gwinnett County Public Schools. The superintendent sent us a memo. Most of what we've been planning has not yet been completely confirmed. And so what I'm going to share is just our overarching plan, which many of you have already seen. I've shared it on my Facebook page. And everyone who's reached out to me, I appreciate, and I want you to continue to. Well, basically what I've been able to do is aggregate all of everyone's concerns in the community and send them to the superintendent and the related executive cabinet members so that they know what are the most pressing questions and priorities of our members and that they can address them proactively. We don't yet know exactly, at least the board members, what we're going to do for graduation, for promotion criteria, for grading, for assessment schedules, and what that means for students as they return to school eventually. And a part of the reason why we don't know that is because we don't know exactly how long this pandemic will impact our school system. If this lasts all through the summer and then also through the next year, that will impact our ability to do summer school, which is currently where we're thinking about potentially being able to do some planning for really just addressing those students who are not able to get everything that they need right now from the digital learning that we're able to do. And so I have full confidence in our leaders in Gwinnett County public schools, and we've been relaying basically everything that we are concerned about in this interim. The main thing that is really of pressing concern right now is the ability for kids to get on the internet. Because we've moved to digital learning as a primary form of instruction, with which it was never designed to be. Digital learning was designed to initially just be a makeup, a gap-filling component, where if we had to close school for a day because there was snow outside, we could do one day of digital learning, right? We recognize that there is a huge challenge that comes from doing 7, 10, however many straight weeks of digital learning. And particularly for kids who are, multiple of them sharing one laptop or are experiencing like insufficient access to Wi-Fi, it makes it really hard to do school if you're not able to get on a device and use that device, all of the multiple kids in the household at the same time. And so with that, if you are experiencing or know of any students who are having any challenges with just getting online, they can go directly to their school to address that concern. And we've been asking folks to go there to figure out if there are laptops that are available for loan. They have been giving those away. Well, checking them out so that those kids can use those devices. And I fully support that. I think it's the right thing to do. Counselors have also been deployed to be checking attendance data to identify those students who have not been checking their devices regularly, to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get all of the kids in our county online and doing the work that they can. One of the things that I've been pushing for is just a little bit more clarity in communication. And so, like I said earlier, digital learning was not designed to be the only form of instruction. It was designed to be a makeup form of instruction. So now that it is the only, it's a little unclear to families and students of like whether or not their kids are supposed to be going online at 9 a.m. and downloading everything for the day and just doing their work, or if they're supposed to be checking in for certain subjects at certain times with certain teachers where they can do some work, get feedback, and act as if a real-time teacher were there to answer questions and support them. I've heard that concern. I completely agree. It's very confusing. So the academics, the teaching and learning department is going to be addressing that to make sure that people can be just really clear on whether or not their class for this time period is going to have a real-time teacher to support the work that they're doing, or whether there are certain days where that's happening. And that's all things that they're considering and are looking forward to pushing to us beginning as soon as possible. I know that we're going back to regular instruction tomorrow. In addition to that, we're going to be continuing meals for as long as we're continuing schools. And so I'm proud of that because it includes both drop-off delivery and pickup. especially at our most needy schools where we have a larger percent of our students that are on free and reduced lunch. On Tuesday, that will include breakfast. So it will only be at the same time, that 11 to 12 time period, but students can come, any individual under 18 years of age can come and pick up a lunch and breakfast starting Tuesday. On Monday, I would presume that it's just lunch, but thereafter we'll be giving 2 meals a day to those students who can come to their regular drop-off locations and get their breakfast and lunch. So that's another good thing. Because we don't have as many details about the pandemic as possible right now, we are updating the rest kind of as on a case-by-case basis, and we'll have more information in coming weeks. As I get more information, the first place that I share that is on my Facebook page. And if you have gone on Facebook and just like or follow the Everton Blair School Board Member Facebook page, you'll see that I'll put everything up there as soon as I find out the word, as well as the county has been doing robocalls. If you have not received a robocall, you can call your school to get added to that list. And that's, I think, the best way that we can coordinate all of just everybody making sure that they're getting the messaging. So I'll stay on for a little bit and make sure that I answer any additional questions. I did see one, which is related to the times that schools are open. And we don't know that in terms of like which days, like how long the school calendar, if that might be impacted by the pandemic. What I would just assume though is that everything that has been standard up until this point, a regular elementary school schedule, a regular middle school and high school schedule, we should follow, as well as the current calendar, we should anticipate until you hear otherwise. So that's the current planning.
Well, great. We will have a session where we'll have questions and answers. So if they will hold all those questions, we will be able to address them later on in our segment. Thank you that was a lot of information. And I think what people are not understanding is that there is not one answer for all these different problems, and that they are being, again, answered as we go. So again, thank you. And we look for you to hold on as we bring up our next school expertise after you. Ms. Jeanette, how are you today?
I'm just doing fine. I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. It's very important, as you said, that we understand so many moving parts to this whole entire situation. For one, I truly love the camaraderie and the partnership. That's the key to me for us to be successful during this pandemic, is that we do share in the community and in partnership. Regarding what board member Blair Everton had to say, I totally ditto him all the way down from A through Z. He did a phenomenal job on his report. I would like to also mention that the students will be receiving tomorrow, as he said, the lunch, but to my understanding, they're getting lunch and breakfast starting tomorrow. So that's a great opportunity, and it will be from 11 to 1 o'clock. And also the child has to be present in order to receive that food. If you do not have your children with you, if you just walk up to the school and try to get it, you can't get it without the child. If you are going to meet the people at the bus stop, the bus drivers, and you don't have the child with you, you still will not be able to get that. So the children must be with you if they're 18 and under. The other thing is that I have a unique perspective in this entire issue, because as I sit as the co-president for the Gwinnett County Association of Educators, it gives me the opportunity to actually engage with and to hear our educators. That would be the teachers, that would be classified and certified people. So we get a chance to have a perspective of what their input is into this entire process. And they're extremely motivated. I'm happy to be able to report that our teachers are out there being extremely motivated and creative in educating. There is a problem with engagement, of course, with our students and trying to keep them busy, keep them focused, and the parents also being able to provide them guidance. But our teachers have just stepped above and beyond. And not just the teachers, because there's two educators in this situation. There's your classified and certified. So even our clerical, even our custodians and our paraprofessionals, they are all in this 100%. So I think that that's something to extremely be proud of in Gwinnett County. I'm sure other districts are as well, but I think we do it the best in Gwinnett County. We service over 1,000 students every single year, every single day, 1,087, I'm sorry, 1,087 students every single year. So this is amazing that we have the opportunity to engage with them. I think as far as everything else goes, we have touched upon that. Of course, if you have any questions in regards to this, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And thank you once again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jeanette. And just to clarify that number, you're probably saying 100,087.
187,000. I don't know where my mind was at.
Me either.
Yeah, all this confusion with my computer here.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
As we continue, Simeon.
Next, we have some business updates. With Michael Hill. So, Michael Hill, I believe I saw you on.
Yeah, actually, Simeon, we got so much information. I want to kind of defer it back over to Penny. The only thing I have to report this evening, we had a very extensive conference call on the, I want to say that was 2 days ago on Friday. The White House assembled on the telephone call led by John Hope Bryant, leaders throughout the country to listen in on what was happening with the COVID virus information that was coming down in terms of what was going to be done for businesses. But as we know, basically it was a call to refer us to the website. I was not surprised, but one thing that did come out of it was that when we did refer, I think the biggest thing that gave us information in terms of being able to check on the banking institutions by zip code. And the report, what I did last week on Monday, we assembled a team. Can you hear me? We assembled a team of 3 attorneys, 4 CPAs, 2 lending institutions, and a couple of foundations to form an initial review team to go through the pieces of legislation. And we're working on a grid, and that grid should be ready to go on Monday. And those individuals will form the initial technical assistance team, and we're going to put a training together because there are technical assistance dollars that have been allocated for individuals, organizations, what is classified in the legislation as agents, to receive monies to provide technical assistance support to the community. I wanted to make sure that the team were individuals who had a relationship with the state, meaning that they have state licenses, so they're not going to do anything or advise anybody to put their license in jeopardy. So we are moving forward with that. But the key caveat here is that we have to make sure that our minority deposit institutions are aware and are engaged in terms of making sure that they provide those opportunities for the community. The banks have definitely put their stipulations in terms of getting access to the capital and to the funding, which is not stated in the federal legislation. And what I found very interesting, and it's actually kind of hit home, my wife came to me on yesterday morning and stated to me she just got information from Bank of America that in order to get involved with the PPP, you had to have a lending relationship with Bank of America, which means that you had to have a line of credit, you had to have a credit card, or an active loan with the account. And she has neither. She's just a depositor and she has a payroll. We also have identified other individuals who just got a payroll type, depositor type relationship with Bank of America. But thank goodness to some of my friends in the FDIC, and I'm pretty sure they had a lot to say about it. By the end of that day, the Bank of America changed that rule before the day was out. So I think some pressure came down very, very quickly. The other key caveat to this legislation is that we have to leverage the CRA regulations with these different banking institutions. That is going to be the key to make sure that we hold banking institutions accountable to make sure that our community get access to those dollars. So we are looking for our minority deposit institutions. We are reaching out to anyone who may have a CDFI, and we will be bringing in the Federal Reserve and the other banking regulators and look for a webinar or a workshop to encourage banking institutions how they can best support the minority community. I definitely want to make sure that the NAACP Gwinnett is involved in that. So Penny, you can elaborate more on that, that conference call. I don't know if you was on it, but just a very interesting call. It was more of an Atlanta call than a national call, and I think I was disappointed in that, but not surprised. So I'll conclude on that, and we'll move forward.
Thank you, Michael, again. Can you give us some information where we can contact you? Because there was a lot of information that you gave also. And we want to make sure that you listening can get in touch with anyone that you've heard today. So, and thank you for inviting the Gwinnett NAACP on that call on Friday. I did get to listen, and we will be getting that information from the providers of that call. So that's more additional information that we will be sharing on our sites. So thank you, and I know people will have questions for you later on in the program.
Yeah, I believe, Penny, when you got on that call, I think when I got on, it was like 900 in participation. What was the number when you got on? I think it got up to 1,000.
Yes, I think it was definitely at 1,000 when I got on. And it, again, very informative. And again, it's about disseminating information and making sure that our community is abreast on all the financial parts of the stimulus package so that we can participate, so that we can be active participants and make sure that we have the economic information we need to be successful when these avenues are open again. So again, thank you for inviting us to that call, Michael.
All right, thank you for that update, Mr. Hill. We have a census update from Vanessa Thomas. So Vanessa, are you on?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Can you hear me? Oh, great, thank you. Thank you all so much for this opportunity. Yes, I am Vanessa Thomas with the U.S. Census. I'm a partnership specialist. And I just wanted to share an update with you where Gwinnett County is in the responding, but also to remind some and inform others that the time is now to respond to the 2020 census. As we all know, the 2020 census is an opportunity to shape our future of our communities. So the individuals on this call, well, I'm sure we all know that the census results have an impact on programs such as health insurance, hospitals, child care, food assistance, schools, early childhood development, emergency service, public safety, and much more. So by now, every household should have received a letter asking them to complete the 2020 census questionnaire. You can complete it, as we all know, online. That's at my2020census.gov. You can complete it by phone or by mail using the census ID that was provided to you. And even if you don't have your census ID, you can still respond by entering your home address. So one other thing I'm gonna ask y'all to do, and when you spread this word, I'm asking y'all when you talk to your family members and your friends, and when you respond to it yourself, be sure to count everyone in your household who was there as of April the 1st, 2020. That includes adults, babies, young children, foster children, non-relatives should be counted. And the reason why I'm stressing young children and babies, because in 2010, children under 5 was undercounted. One other thing too, I'm soliciting your help. One of the biggest challenges we're having is getting responses from historically hard to count populations, such as racial and ethnic minority groups, people who rent their homes, rural residents, non-English speakers, household with children under the age of 5, and people living in complex households. So we're asking for your support. What I will do is leave my information. We're asking our faith-based organizations, our community organizations, and others who serve these communities to help us get the word out on the importance of the census and responding to the 2020 census now. So please let me know how we can support you in helping us get the word out. One thing I do want to give a report for Gwinnett County, and the only county I'm saying Gwinnett, because I thank the NAACP so much. We're in lockstep with us from the beginning. Right now, as of April the 4th, I'm looking at the response rate, and response at the national level is 44.5%. In Georgia, it's 42.1%. But in Gwinnett County, we have responded 48%. So kudos to Gwinnett counties. We have much more to do, but we've come a long way under the circumstances. Also want you to know that our ground operation is on pause, but responding to the census is not. So please, let's make sure we post it on Facebook, all your social media platforms. I hear the school representatives there, the teacher representatives there, whatever you can do to assist us and to help us to make sure that our communities are represented. I can be reached at vanessa.b.thomas at 2020census.gov, or you can call me at 678-662-1593. Thank you all so much. And once again, Penny, thank you for your leadership of the Gwinnett County NAACP.
We thank you, Vanessa, for all you do. We thank you for all you do, your enthusiasm in spreading this word. And we love being a partner and collaborating with the census movement here in Gwinnett County under your excellent guidance and leadership. We thank you for that. So moving on, our next presenter.
Next presenter is Amirah Lawson with our political action updates.
Okay, I'm off mute. Good evening, everyone. Miss Vanessa, I just want to let you know that I did fill out my census. As a genealogist, I know how important it is, and I'm wondering if you can ask if we can get those 1950 census a little bit early, because us genealogists are home doing nothing, but we can talk about that later. But I'm Amirah Lawson, and I am the Political Action Committee chairperson, and I just have 3 updates. Really quickly, I hope everyone on this call has received this piece of mail, and it is actually your application for your absentee ballot. So Georgia has a pretty rigorous standard. It's multi-tiered to be able to vote if you're voting by mail. But I want you all to look for these. I can say that I've been asking and checking them with other NAACP members, and they have received them. All of the eligible voters in my home have received it. So be on the lookout for it. Everyone should receive it by April 10th. And I actually think it's pretty good. If you look inside and you look up top, it gives you all the information that you need to be able to fill this out. I am strongly encouraging everyone to request an absentee ballot. Again, this is just the application to request the ballot. I need you all to request your ballot because this is a very flexible and unprecedented time. We don't know if there's going to be in-person voting on May 19th. And if there's no in-person voting and you have not asked for your ballot, I don't know what's going to happen and if you will be eligible to vote, and if any type of contingency plans will be made. So again, strongly encourage you, look in the mail. If you don't have it, you can go to the Secretary of State's website and download an application. You can also call your county election board, Gwinnett County Election Board over on Grayson Highway, and request one as well. As soon as you get it, please fill it out, please return it, because again, we are in an unprecedented time. We don't know what the actual volume will be, and just to make sure that you get your ballot in time, I need you all to, again, request it, fill it out, return it, and you can actually email this as well. So if you can scan it and email it back to the county as well. If you can't, you will need to send it back. And again, one more time, please request your ballot because we don't know where we're going to be on May 19th, and we want to make sure everyone can vote and evangelize and spread the word that we need everyone to vote. So that's that. I'm trying to look over my notes to make sure I got everything. Okay, so in line with making sure that everyone votes, I need groups of volunteers. And the good thing is we can volunteer from home. So I am looking for 2 hours a week from volunteers to make phone calls to make sure that everyone has received their application and to make sure and answer questions for people in case they are confused about filling out the application and the voting process when voting by mail. So please, once again, this is urgent. We need to make sure that we are giving people and disseminating the best information possible. And moving on, the election board. There's going to be an election board meeting for Gwinnett County. It's going to be tomorrow. It is a virtual meeting. It's April 6th, tomorrow at 6 p.m. There is a link on the website at Gwinnett County under election boards meetings, and I know we have the information. We will try and send it out to everyone so they have it, to the link to the meeting. If you are available, please join that meeting because we want to understand what's going on. There are still a lot of unanswered questions, and I think the more people we have engaging in the Board of Registration and Elections virtual meeting, the better we all will be. So with that, I will close. Thank you for your time. And again, request your ballot. Please stay safe. Please stay home. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you for that, Amirah. And moving on, we know we'll be hearing a lot about that. So thank you again.
Awesome. Well, we're doing great on time today. We are also going to have some inspirational words in a few minutes as we probably approach that 45-minute mark. So we have a little bit of time for some questions. And I saw a couple.
Did we have our mortgage update yet?
We did not.
Yes. Okay. And why I'm saying that, I'm going to come in with that mortgage update. I'm 20-year plus real estate, and we've been hearing a lot of calls about people worrying about losing their homes or losing their apartments. So I just want to give some quick information out there. First, I want to start off and say, please, everyone is in the same boat. So make sure you do things sooner than later. If you were served an eviction notice that was issued before the courts were closed, please contact your landlord, mortgage company, which would be a foreclosure, as soon as possible, because those are in effect and they are alive and they can be executed. And because the information is constantly changing, your landlord and your mortgage institutions are the only ones that can resolve those answers for you. And then I want to move to the next level. If you have not received an eviction notice because the courts were closed, you will be getting a notice after they reopen. So again, you must be proactive. Everyone is working on a case-by-case basis. Your landlord is operating off of the contract, the rental agreement that they wrote for you. So again, that will be an individual case-by-case. And then your mortgage lender, please contact them because each lending institution has different rules. And then I want to move to the subject of extended stays. Unless I have been speaking with the General Solicitor's Office, unless you have been in an extended stay for an amount of time, they are researching to see exactly when that stay becomes running as at will. So they are researching that. But again, with extended stays, there are no contracts. So you are at the mercy of those people who are renting you that room. I know this information sounds ambiguous, but it is from case to case and from the landlord type to landlord type. And again, lastly, but not, also importantly, is about your mortgage. If you have a mortgage, a lot of the companies are working with homeowners. They are making sure that we're not in the same situation as the 2008, when we had the 2008 dilemma. Previously, they wanted you to go into bankruptcy or be into foreclosure status before you were getting assistance. Good news for everyone. They are now being proactive. The mortgage companies, the lenders, they are not waiting for you to be in dire straits. They are ready to work with you now. So they're working with things such as forbearance. Well, they will work with you to get a lower payment. They're working with deferred payments, and deferred payments mean that they're adding the amount at the end of your mortgage. And then if you get to that point of foreclosure, then that is another way that they will be working with you and trying to get you credit counseling, homeowners counseling. So there are many resolves. Please, please be proactive, but most of all, talk directly with your landlord, with the extended stay, talk directly with your lenders. For the most part, everyone is wanting to help. If you have questions or if you need to find out specific information, again, call our number at 678-400-2929, and we'll be happy to answer those questions on a case-by-case basis. Again, there is much help out there. Please reach out. Everyone's situation is unique, and all have unique solutions. Thanks. So we're going to move on to question and answers. I'm going to throw it back to Simeon.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So we'll do, I see a couple of hands here. I know the first one I saw was Councilwoman Disdain. So did you want to come up with your question there?
You're going to have to unmute.
You're muted there.
They were concerned about the bus drivers that are delivering the lunches and the breakfast. They're saying that they're seeing a lot of them more on the elderly side. So they were concerned with them catching the coronavirus because they can't really distance themselves. Can you just clarify what the ages are, give or take, of the bus drivers? And if they're actually, you know, older individuals who are just trying to fill up, I guess, a vacant spot, but due to their age, that we are putting them in danger?
I can speak a little bit to that. So I have heard this. Our bus drivers are older employees on average, but I think that what we need to proactively have as precaution is just to make sure that our personal protective equipment is available to all of our frontline employees, whether they be bus drivers or folks that are packaging the meals in our school nutrition program, or just anybody who's in any school at any time. And I've relayed that, but yeah, it is a concern that many of our bus drivers are a little bit on the older side and might be more susceptible if they happen to be exposed to this virus. Now, we're doing the things that we need to do as a school system to make sure that they're protected, but then presumably when they're going out and giving these lunch meals and breakfast meals to students, you know, there's not really much certainty with respect to what contact they're coming into with those students. And so I know that hand sanitizer and you know, cleanliness precautions have been taken so that our staff is safe. But with respect to their being just a little bit older, I don't have an answer to that. But regardless of their age, I think we should just be protecting everybody and putting the cleanliness standards in place for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry. And my second question, are they getting the breakfast and the lunch at the same time?
Yeah, so I was told that that's going to start on Tuesday.
Okay.
My thinking around that is that because this past week was spring break, that they might not have the full capacity in place to do both breakfast and lunch starting on Monday. That's just what my mind is thinking. If there's an ability to do that tomorrow, I'm sure that we will. But yeah, definitely the expectation should be that starting on Tuesday, breakfast and lunch will be available to any person under the age of 18. We do not check IDs. We just need to make sure that it's a child. They do not necessarily have to be enrolled at the Gwinnett County school that they're picking up the lunch from. We're just trying to feed kids. And so that's something that you can message. And I would just say Tuesday so that we can clear our bases there.
And is that all at the same time, or is that like two separate trips that'll be made for breakfast and lunch, or do they pick up both breakfast and lunch at the same time?
Yep, one trip, one stop. It follows the middle school bus route schedule, and it is between 11 and 12 in the late morning.
Great, thank you. All right, I saw another question or a hand from Representative McClain.
Thank you. I guess more of a question and also I want to say more comment. I do know that we talked about the robocalls. I don't know if was the robocalls Everton going to all of the parents or just the ones who had children. Was that I guess it's got to be someone for the schools to have those phone numbers.
Yep. Yeah. So the phone numbers, to my knowledge, that are being used are the phone numbers that are listed on registration day when parents come in to register their students for the upcoming school year. And so if they didn't register this year, they're just going to use the numbers that they had from last year, and whatever numbers are on file, both parents, anyone that they have on that list. I get the robocalls. I don't have kids in Gwinnett County Public Schools, so I'm not exactly sure how they're getting my number in that group, but I'm glad to be informed in the number. So if you have ever enrolled a child and that child is still currently active, you should be getting the robocalls. If you do have a Gwinnett County Public student and you're not getting the robocalls, just immediately reach out to the school. The school admin are still working and the number still does work. So you should just call that school and share, hey, I did not get a superintendent's message over the last, you should have gotten at least 2 in the last 3 weeks. And so I would recommend that anyone who is not and has students in the county do that now, as well as you can email the My School Board at gcpsk12.org account, and then we'll get you to the proper channels. I'll put my email in the chat so that the folks can know that as well.
Thank you. I wanted to know because I hadn't received one, but my children had left Gwinnett schools some years ago. But it's good for all of elected officials to know. My other one was, I guess, more so on the absentee ballot. We must realize when we talk to folks about that, the judicial candidates will only be on the May 19th ballot. We need to make sure that we push that as best we can, because it's not their primary, it's their election. So I would hope that we can do that as NAACP. And the other one I had for the census is I want to know, did we extend the time for the census? Because I thought at one time it was going to end in July, and I think they've extended it to August. Vanessa?
Yes, that's a very good question. Thank you so much. Yes, as of now, it's August the 14th.
Okay. All right. Well,
yes.
I think that's
the timeline. Yes.
Good. I think if we make sure our folks know that, I mean, we don't want them to wait till August 14th, but I do think we want them to know that, you know, that now is the time and August 14th is the deadline. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
All right, good clarifications. Thank you for those. Next question or next hand up is by Steve. So come on up, Steve, tell us your question there. And
He's on mute.
You might be muted there. Try now, Steve.
I'm good now, right?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. I want to remind people who might be tuning in to the Board of Elections meeting tomorrow. It's a special called meeting. It's not their regular Tuesday meeting on the third Tuesday of the month. So we may not be able to participate with questions, but we can listen to what they're saying And certainly you can contact the members of the Board of Elections either prior to that meeting or afterwards with your questions, and hopefully, ultimately, you will get an answer. But they've made it pretty clear this is not an audience participation meeting. It's an informational meeting where they will be discussing, but they are not required by law to allow audience participation. And typically, if you've been, you know that they don't answer questions that meeting. They wait till the next meeting when you might not be there to provide the answer. So they don't engage in discussion with you at all. Is the board, a question for Amirah, because I figure she's probably been over there, is the actual Board of Elections office open where people can hand deliver if they choose not to pay 55 cents to mail their application, or don't have access to scanning their document? They take it to the board office. And one other question, why is the application for absentee ballots not in Spanish? Aren't they required by law to have it in both languages?
Yes, they are required to answer your question, Steve. And I don't like to answer questions unless I have confirmed information. But my understanding is you can drop your application off if you don't have the 55 cents. I'm going to confirm that and get additional information as well as far as what the deadline is. That's the question that Derek had. And also the specifics on dropping it off. In terms of the Spanish, that is just an oversight by the vendor, I believe, that the Secretary of State used. In Gwinnett County, Gwinnett is legally obligated to provide ballots, applications, what have you, in Spanish. Penny can address this because Penny mentioned this to me, and I believe that the attorneys are working on getting that issue addressed. So if Penny wants to jump in and offer additional information outside of, yes, we are aware of it and we're trying to get that addressed, Penny, you can jump in if you would like.
Okay, just quickly, for Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act, Gwinnett County legally must provide all information for voting in Spanish. They did not do this recently, and already our collaborators will make sure that these things will get done in a legal manner. Whether it was an oversight or not, we're going to make sure with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under the law, we're going to make sure that this is going to happen. So there's still some more research that's happening, but again, under Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act, we're going to make sure that this gets that this happens for our partners in Gwinnett County.
Awesome. Thank you for those questions and those responses, everyone. We now are going to do some words of inspiration from our faith community. We have Reverend Dennis Washington with Poplar Hill Baptist Church on. So we'd love to hear from you, Reverend Washington.
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully I'm coming across loud and clear.
You're good.
All right, I see a thumbs up. Thank you, President Penny Poole, and all of those that are online. It's always an honor for me to be considered, just to be in the presence of such esteemed, illustrious Gwinnettians as all of you. We're engaged just like everyone else. This is affecting everybody, especially the faith-based community. And that's who we are. And at times like this, we tend to look toward the heavens, toward the hills, toward the church for inspiration, for encouragement. So with that being said, two scriptures come to mind. Excuse me. This is not the coronavirus. I've been out cutting grass today and the pollen is real high. So it's not the coronavirus. But if you will consider with me the book of Psalms, that's in your Old Testament reading, two scriptures from Psalms 31. And I'm going to see if I can just tie this up for us real quickly. Verse 1 says, "In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in that righteousness." And I'm going to skip verse 2 and I'm going to conclude at verse 3. "For thou art my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for that name's sake, lead me and guide me." Now, as I stated earlier, most of us was raised with the Lord will bring you through. The Lord will see you out. Take your cares and your troubles to the Lord and he will work it out. That's something that's been practiced all across this nation. As a matter of fact, the very essence of America, God we trust. Well, I like to say this here. How do you know that you trust unless you get an opportunity to work that trust? So the word trust is an action. So it's up to us to react to it. Do we react with fear? Do we react with doubt? Are we wavering? What's in right now is what I call a litmus test, just to see how strong your conviction is. And what I like to share with everyone is this: you don't know what you got fully until the opportunity presents itself that you can use it. So what's in us is going to come out of us. So it behooves us to pay attention to our inner being. That when grandmama was talking to you and she said, "Child, it's a storm coming on the horizon. You need to take shelter." Or back in Detroit where I grew up, oh, we call him Wine Old Willie. All he did was sit on the corner and drink his bottle of wine. But that Wine Old Willie had enough wisdom that if he seen a bus coming and you were about to step off the curb and you wasn't paying attention, he said, "Young man, you better watch it before that bus goes over." The point that I'm making is everything that we know have gotten us to this day. Now, based on history and how it shapes in this world, this earth has never witnessed anything like this collectively before. So if you go back and you refresh biblical times, only one time in the history of this earth were we in danger of all of mankind being wiped out. And that's if you go back to the Old Testament writings, the book of Noah, when God flooded the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Now, we may not think that this is what's happening right now, and I'm not going to step out and say, yes, it is. But I want to remind you of this one fact. Nothing that we see today is going to change our tomorrow unless we live through it. So when we go to sleep at night, Lord, lay me down to sleep. I pray, Lord, my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Now I learned that, and I rehearse it each night. And I got to tell you something. I will be celebrating 68 years of birth this May 6th, if God will. And I think I look good for my age. What I want to remind us of is two things. Number one, the old timers prepared us for times as this. We have history of when we don't understand what's going on, we don't lean to man, because all man can do is react, but we lean on the one within action. So we put our trust in the one and only true God, and we believe that even in this coronavirus epidemic or pandemic that we're having, God will bring us through. When he rested after the 7 days of his creation, he said, "It is finished." And what I want to leave you with is the word "finished" means there's nothing else to come. So in our lifetime, we're just now embarking on this here. But 50 years ago, there was a struggle again. And we are the recipients of that struggle. And 50 years from today, when tomorrow look back on today, and they said, wow, the coronavirus epidemic and the thousands of people that are dying, and in some cases it triples in one day, tomorrow is going to look back on this and say, wow, how did they make it? And somebody is going to have enough wisdom to say this here: except by the grace and mercy of God. So I don't know what you're going through personally. As for me, they're telling me I can't go golfing anymore. Dewey, And you know how much I love to golf. But I say it all with happiness and with joy. I trust in the Lord because he's my maker and he's my sustainer. There's only so much man can do. And then man has got to go out of himself and he's got to look for help. So I pray for the wisdom and the encouragement of the Lord to be upon us all, starting with our leaders on the federal level, the local governments, city, even into the county, even in each household. This affected each of us differently, but it's affects all just the same. I'm going to leave by saying this: to God be the glory for this marvelous thing that he's doing. And what he's doing, he's encouraging us that he's never left us, nor will he forsake us. So in dire times as these, all we can do is trust in what Grandma and them said. Honey child, trust in the Lord and he will see you through. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for those words of inspiration. We're going to wrap up quickly.
I'm done.
Want to thank all of our guests and especially those on the line. Our state president, James Woodall, has been sharing with us. Thank you again, Councilwoman DeStang. Thank you all those who I'm unable to see for participating. We just want you to know that please, please, shelter in place per the laws. The Gwinnett NAACP will be working with Letterme, with Chef Hank. We will be rolling out this information. We'll also be working on the absentee ballot application. When you get that ballot, even though we are a nonpartisan organization, we need to tell you, for you to vote for the judges, please choose a party, because if you do not choose a party, you will not get the full ballot. So again, choose a party when you're deciding on how your ballot will look. And then the other things we want to say is please practice social distancing. The Gwinnett NAACP will be rolling out a lot of information on next week. We will be here again next Sunday. Thank you for participating. We hope that some of this information has helped you. Blessings to everyone. Simeon?
Thank you all for coming. And this will be posted on YouTube probably by tomorrow morning. So please make sure you check out our Gwinnett NAACP YouTube page for additional content and information. Thank you all for joining. You all have a great evening.